A very good morning, Mark here. Monday, November the 24th. Going on 8 a.m. Eastern. That's going on 1 p.m. GMT. US session about to get underway. Let's have a look how the market shape up to start the US session and the new trading week. US dollar index, red candlestick. I've got resistance at 121 and I've got support at 99.93. Sellers first out of the block to start the new week. US dollar has come down, wasn't able to maintain above that 100 level, which I think is significant. Now sitting below the 100 level, we'll see whether that continues once the US session is underway, or if we're going to see a turnaround from weak US dollar to strong US dollar and continue the demand we saw last week for US. We'll see that now. We'll see how that plays out now that the US session is underway. Let's have a look at the S&P 500. We're a good hour and a half away from Wall Street opening up, so we're looking at the futures market for now. Slight green candlestick. I've got support at 6,624. I've got resistance at 6,670. A gap higher to start after the weekend, and buyers maintaining demand for S&P. We'll see whether buyers can uh, continue with what they started. And we see the resistance level being tested, the 6,670, perhaps higher, or if sellers step in uh, during the US session and when Wall Street does open up. But last week, certainly a big sell-off in the equities market across the board. There's the fight back from Friday. We'll see whether that can be continued today. Gold. Gold's still very flat. You can see pretty much what we saw last week. Gold seems to be comfortable for the time being around that 4,050 level, now sitting at 4,079. That's the intraday resistance for now. Support at 4,036. You can see how many times last week this level was tested, but buyers did step in, as we're seeing today as well. If I zoom out a little bit, you can see I put in as well on the daily the descending trend line, forming a bit of a descending triangle. We'll see whether that plays out. If buyers do step in and keeps getting rejected at this descending trend line and eventually break below the bottom of the triangle. But flat for now, even the EMA is flat. You can see that gold certainly taking a bit of a breather after a hectic year. Let's have a look at Brent oil. Bit of a fight back today. Sell off last week, downtrend still in place, but a bit of a bounce up off this support at 61.35, which is support again today, and intraday resistance for now 62.16. We'll see whether buyers continue with what they started and get above, or at least test this resistance level again, intraday resistance. Friday's high around the 62.40 level. We'll see whether this bounce continues or whether it's back to the downtrend that was in place last week and sellers step back in and look down at this support at the 61.35. What I can see if I scroll out a little bit, certainly trading one leg lower than we saw over the past few weeks, where price action was pretty much between the 63 and 64, trading that leg lower right now at 62, between 61 and 62. Let's have a look at Bitcoin. After a very strong sell-off last week, there's a bit of a fight back we saw yesterday. Buyers unable to maintain that so far today. I've got support at 85.5 thousand and I've got resistance at 88.2 thousand. And now sitting pretty much at yesterday's close. Just tried a little higher, but Buyers not able to maintain the demand for Bitcoin at this stage. Everything seems to be pointing to the downside. Technical, certainly, uh, bias, sentiment, all tilted to the downside. Let's see whether buyers do step in at this level. A long way to go on the upside. First target would be the 88,000 and higher, or if sellers continue what we saw last week and push even below that 85,000 level. Good trading. Keep that discipline, and I'll see you at end of day session.